Hey, everyone, and welcome back. We love to do deep dives into these topics, and today is all about success principles.
That's right.
And we're using Bob Proctor's 12 Power Principles for Success as our guide.
Great book.
Yeah. And we're going to kind of weave in some real-life examples of people mentioned in the book, just to kind of give a little bit more of a unique perspective on all of this.
For sure.
So right off the bat, Proctor makes a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
Success is a decision.
Yeah.
Not something you wait for, but something you actively choose.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's pretty powerful, actually,
Yeah.
when you think about it, because he argues that success isn't about waiting for that perfect moment or having all your ducks in a row or the right circumstances. It's really an internal choice that you make regardless of what your situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he even gives this really interesting example of a businessman who considered himself successful even when he was sleeping on a park bench.
Right, so you can be successful while sleeping on a park bench. I don't quite
You can, because
get that.
he knew his direction.
Okay.
He had made that decision internally that he was going to be successful, and having that really clear purpose in mind fueled his actions, even though things on the outside weren't going so well.
Yeah. I mean, it really speaks to the mindset of success.
Yeah.
So how does that tie into his actual definition of success, which is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal?
Right. So each word in that definition is very carefully chosen.
Right.
Progressive, meaning that success isn't a one-time thing, it's a journey.
Right.
And then realization points to the fact that you are actively bringing something into being.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most important part of that phrase is worthy ideal.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not talking about just possessions and material things, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not about accumulating material things.
Right.
Proctor actually challenges us to think about what's truly important and what really matters.
Mm-hmm.
And to illustrate that, he gives this great analogy. Imagine a young boy who already has everything that money can buy, all the best toys, all the coolest gadgets, and you ask him, what's next? What more could you want?
Right.
And that kind of shows how all those material things are often just substitutes for something deeper that we're really looking for.
Wow, that's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could have all the money in the world, but if you're not pursuing something that really resonates with you,
Right.
it's not going to bring you fulfillment.
I think that's why, taking the time to figure out what your worthy ideal is so important.
It is.
What is it that makes your life meaningful? What kind of impact do you want to make on the world?
Yeah. And it's a question that's worth spending some time thinking about.
Absolutely.
Because that ideal will become your compass.
Yeah.
It will point you in the right direction.
Well, this is making me think about all the times I've kind of played it safe in life and maybe avoided risks
Right.
that could have gotten me closer to my ideal.
Mm.
So that kind of brings us to his next principle, which is risk. He's not afraid of risk.
No, he's not.
In fact, he argues that taking risks is essential for growth,
Right.
even when other people don't get it.
For sure.
And he tells this fascinating story about this businessman, Herman Cranert,
Oh, yeah.
who was offered a promotion, but he turned it down.
He did.
And I'm thinking, why would anybody turn down a promotion?
I know, right?
What was he thinking?
Well, he saw that by taking that promotion, he would be compromising his values and his core beliefs.
Interesting.
And he didn't want to be a puppet on a board of directors.
Wow.
Even if it meant walking away from a really well-paying job.
It takes a lot of guts to be able to do that.
Yeah, it does.
To be able to risk security and your comfort like that, to stay true to yourself.
Right.
I think we've all been in situations where we hesitated to take a risk,
We have.
even if it meant, moving closer to what we really want.
Right.
It's scary.
It is. It's a natural human tendency to want to avoid the unknown and seek comfort and security.
Right.
But Proctor's challenging us to push ourselves outside of that comfort zone.
Right.
Because that's really where the growth happens.
Yeah.
So think about a time when you played it safe and maybe there was a risk that could have gotten you closer to what you really wanted. What would you do differently now?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And, speaking of facing challenges, Proctor also talks about the power of persistence.
Absolutely. And he uses the example of Sir Edmund Hillary, who, as you mentioned, was the first to summit Mount Everest. And it was not easy.
Right. Definitely not a walk in the park.
No. He faced so many setbacks and challenges along the way.
I think sometimes it's easy to forget that even people who accomplish these incredible things go through, immense challenges along the way.
Absolutely.
So what made the difference for Hillary?
Right.
What do you think kept him going?
Proctor says that it was his deep connection to his goal.
Right.
He didn't just want to climb Mount Everest. He felt called to do it. Okay.
That sense of purpose fueled his persistence even when things got really tough.
Wow.
It became a test not just of physical strength, but of mental and emotional resilience as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great takeaway for all of us.
Yeah.
It's not just about kind of casually wanting to do something. It's about really being connected to your goal.
Connecting to it, yeah.
In such a deep way that giving up is just not an option.
Right.
And to further kind of, emphasize that point, Proctor tells another great story about this golfer, Charlie Boswell.
Oh, yeah.
Who is blind.
Blind, yeah.
And he won numerous national and international championships.
Incredible.
Talk about overcoming obstacles.
Right.
It's mind-blowing to think about the level of adversity that he had to overcome to achieve what he did.
Absolutely. It highlights how persistence can help us overcome any challenge.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
No matter how insurmountable it might seem.
Exactly.
Wow.
When we refuse to let those obstacles define us.
Right. We tap into an inner strength that I think we all possess.
Right.
That allows us to do extraordinary things.
So I guess the question for our listeners is, have you ever faced a challenge that felt impossible?
Yeah.
What was it that kept you going? And what did you learn about yourself through that process?
Because those are the stories that shape us.
They are.
That reveal what we're truly capable of.
Yeah.
And those are the stories that we often look back on with the most pride.
They are.
Because they tested our limits and showed us what we're truly made of.
Absolutely. And you know what? This whole thing about persistence ties into another principle that Proctor emphasizes, which is responsibility.
Right.
He argues that accepting responsibility for our feelings and outcomes is the key to freedom.
It is, yeah.
And growth. It's about recognizing that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it.
We can, for sure.
This reminds me of when I visited a prison.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, how many people are prisoners to their own beliefs.
Right.
Just as much as those who are physically behind bars. That's a profound realization.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that true freedom comes from taking ownership of our lives,
right?
Our choices, and our reactions to the world around us.
Absolutely.
And we can choose to blame external factors, or we can choose to empower ourselves to make a change.
Right.
And I think that sense of empowerment is so crucial for cultivating confidence.
Yeah.
Which is Proctor's next principle.
Right.
It's interesting because, he points out that so many people struggle with confidence. Yeah, and he actually shares a statistic that public speaking is feared more than death by many.
Wow.
It's a pretty big statement.
It is.
It's a reminder that confidence is not something we're necessarily born with.
It's not, no.
It's something we develop. And he uses this fantastic example of Winston Churchill's graduation speech.
At this prestigious military academy. And all he said was, never give up.
Really? Wow.
Such a simple message.
It is.
But it really encapsulates the essence of confidence, right?
It does.
Which is just that unwavering belief in your ability to persevere, even when things get tough.
And he actually gives us 3 steps for building that kind of confidence.
He does.
Yeah. Checking and improving your self-image.
Okay.
Recognizing both your strengths and your weaknesses, and then focusing on the good in others as a reflection of the good within yourself. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it's about cultivating a deep sense of self-worth that allows you to, face challenges head on.
Right.
I think that's when action becomes that natural next step.
Right.
Proctor describes action as the final stage of creation.
Yes.
The expression of a well-developed idea.
I love the analogy that he uses.
Oh, yeah.
He says, it's like a mother giving birth to a child.
Okay.
That idea has been nurtured and developed, and action is the natural culmination of that whole process.
Yeah.
It just flows organically.
From the energy and momentum that's been built up.
And to kind of illustrate that, he tells the story of the Hemlo gold mine discovery.
Oh, yeah.
Prospector John Larch had this persistent vision and consistent action is what led to that success.
It did.
And what's interesting is this all took place during the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Wow.
When most people are relaxing and spending time with family.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that true action isn't really dictated by external factors or societal norms.
sure.
It's driven by that inner fire, that unwavering commitment to bringing your vision to life.
Yeah.
So, we have to ask ourselves, are we nurturing our ideas
Right.
and giving them the energy they need to flourish?
Right.
Or are we letting them fade away because we're afraid to take action?
That's a great question.
It is a challenge to
Wow.
move beyond the comfort of contemplation.
Right.
And actually, embrace the power of bringing our ideas to life.
Absolutely. Another topic that Proctor tackles head on is money.
Yeah,
And he presents a perspective that I think might surprise some people.
it might.
He emphasizes that money is a tool
Mm-hmm.
for service.
Right,
It's not an end in itself.
right.
He actually quotes George Bernard Shaw,
Oh, yeah.
who said, "It is the duty of every person to be rich."
Wow,
That's definitely a statement that will get people talking
for sure.
because it challenges our preconceived notions about wealth. Right.
It does.
It's not about personal gain. It's about responsibility.
Exactly.
It's about using your resources to make a positive impact on the world.
Right.
And I think that's where his discussion of poverty consciousness versus prosperity consciousness comes in.
Right.
He argues that those with a poverty consciousness repel money,
Interesting.
while those with a prosperity consciousness attract it.
Mm.
So it's about the energy that we're putting out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
A poverty consciousness is rooted in scarcity and fear and limitation. It's always worried about not having enough.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have a prosperity consciousness, which is rooted in abundance
Okay.
and generosity and a belief in unlimited potential.
Mm-hmm.
So it focuses on opportunities and solutions and creating value for others.
So are you saying that someone with a poverty consciousness might be talented and hardworking,
Yeah.
but their belief system might be holding them back from financial success?
Exactly.
Mm.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Right.
Our beliefs really do shape our reality.
They do.
And so if we believe we're going to struggle financially, we often unconsciously make choices that reinforce that belief.
We do, yeah.
But if we believe in our ability to create wealth and to contribute to the well-being of others, then we attract different opportunities.
You do.
We make different choices that align with that belief.
Absolutely. So it's about examining our internal dialogue
Yeah.
about money and becoming aware of how it might be shaping our financial experiences.
Right. So now let's talk about Proctor's last principle
Okay.
that we'll cover in this part of our deep dive, goals.
Okay.
So I have a question for you.
All right.
Imagine you could gather all the most successful people in the world in one room.
Okay.
What do you think would be the one common thread that runs through all of their stories?
Oh, that's an easy one. Their unwavering commitment to setting and pursuing really big goals.
Yeah.
Goals are more than just milestones. They are actually catalysts for growth and transformation. They activate our inner resources
Yeah.
and force us to expand our capabilities.
And to illustrate this, he shares the inspiring story of Rick Hansen.
Yes, Rick Hansen.
Yeah.
He was a paraplegic who set out on this seemingly impossible goal of wheeling around the world.
I remember hearing about his journey.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. It
Wow.
really embodies the power of setting those really audacious goals.
Right.
It's about challenging yourself to do what seems impossible
Right.
and pushing beyond those perceived limitations. Yeah.
To unlock our true potential.
So he's challenging us to set goals that both excite us and scare us at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Goals that really push us beyond our comfort zones and force us to grow.
Right.
So it's about embracing that growth and transformation
Yeah.
that come with pursuing a challenging goal.
Right.
It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey.
It is. It is.
I think this is a great place to pause for now
Right.
and let our listener reflect on, these first few principles.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But remember, each of these principles builds upon the other.
It does.
It's a holistic approach to success.
For sure.
And we'll be back soon to delve into the rest of Proctor's principles
Awesome.
and uncover even more insights into unlocking your full potential.
Sounds great.
Stay tuned.
Right? It is. It is.
Yeah, and it really is, not just about hitting that target.
Right.
It's about who you become
Yeah.
in the process. Yeah, absolutely. And Proctor talks about how that very act of striving towards something forces us to kind of, expand our abilities and get out of our comfort zone.
He even compares it to physical exercise.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Just like lifting weights builds muscle.
Mm.
Setting and achieving goals strengthens those mental and emotional muscles,
Right.
making us more resilient and capable.
Yeah. Makes me think about all the times I've faced, you know, challenges in pursuing my own goals.
Yeah.
And there have definitely been, those moments of doubt
Oh, yeah.
and frustration. But looking back, those experiences really shaped me into a stronger, more determined person.
Absolutely. It's all about looking at those challenges
Yes.
as opportunities for growth. They're not setbacks. They're stepping stones.
And Proctor doesn't sugarcoat it either.
No, he doesn't.
He acknowledges that, there will be obstacles along the way. He actually says that obstacles are those frightening things that we see when we take our eyes off of our goals. It's such a powerful reminder to stay focused on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And to not let you know those temporary setbacks derail us from our ultimate objective.
And that's where persistence comes back into play.
It does.
Having the grit and determination to overcome those obstacles and just keep moving forward, even when it's tough.
And that brings us back to, believing in yourself, having that unwavering confidence that you can achieve what you set out to do.
Confidence is the fuel that propels us forward, especially when we encounter those roadblocks.
I remember Proctor suggesting that, we actually visualize ourselves as already having achieved our goals.
Oh, yeah. He talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
The power of mental imagery and shaping our reality.
Right.
By vividly imagining ourselves as successful,
Yeah.
we create that powerful blueprint that guides our actions.
It's like planting a seed in our minds and nurturing it with positive thoughts and actions.
Right.
Until it blossoms into the reality that we desire.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
And that's where the importance of positive self-talk comes in.
It does. It does.
Proctor talks about how the words we use when we're talking to ourselves can have a profound impact on our beliefs and ultimately our results.
Yeah. And it's so easy to fall into that negative self-talk trap.
It is.
Especially when we're going through something difficult. But consciously replacing those negative thoughts with more empowering affirmations can make a huge difference.
It's like you become your own biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Replacing self-doubt with self-belief.
Right. Exactly.
And so much of that comes back to taking ownership of our thoughts.
Yeah.
And choosing to focus on, what we want.
Right.
Rather than what we fear.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to responsibility.
Yeah.
It's like a recurring theme through all these principles.
It is. It is. It's about understanding that we have the power to shape our own reality through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions.
So we're not just, passive bystanders.
We're active creators.
In our own lives.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into Proctor's principles, there's one final point he makes about goals that I think is worth highlighting.
Okay.
He suggests that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Absolutely. It's such a beautiful reminder to embrace the growth and transformation that happens along the way. It's in those moments of striving, those challenges that we overcome, those lessons that we learn that we truly evolve and grow as people.
So it's not just about, checking things off a list.
Right.
It's about the person you become in the pursuit of your goals.
Absolutely.
And that personal growth is going to continue to benefit you long after you've achieved, any specific objective.
Exactly. The skills that you develop, the resilience that you build, the knowledge that you gain, those are the lasting rewards of pursuing a worthy ideal.
So as we reflect on all these powerful principles, I want to ask you, the listener, a question.
Okay.
What is one principle from this episode that you can commit to applying to your life right now?
Is it making a firm decision about your future?
Yeah.
Is it embracing a risk? Is it cultivating that unwavering persistence?
Yeah.
Taking responsibility for your outcomes?
Right.
Nurturing your confidence? Taking decisive action?
Yeah.
Maybe reframing your beliefs about money?
Right.
Or setting that really big, audacious goal?
Yeah. Each of these principles holds the potential to unlock, incredible growth and success in your life.
Absolutely. And remember, success is not a destination.
It's not.
It's a journey.
It is.
A journey that begins with that single step.
Yeah.
Decision, a commitment to embrace those principles.
Yeah.
And unleash your full potential.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
And I know it can be overwhelming.
It can be.
So instead of trying to tackle everything at once,
Yeah.
choose one principle that really resonated with you?
Yeah.
You know, the one that maybe sparked a light bulb moment
Right.
or challenged you to think differently.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about, finally making that decision that you've been putting off or taking a leap of faith or simply believing in yourself a little bit more.
Right.
Whatever it is, commit to focusing on that one principle this week.
Yes.
Put it into practice, experiment with it, and see how it impacts your life.
Because even small changes, when applied consistently, can lead to big results.
So take that first step today
Yeah.
and watch as you unlock, new levels of success and fulfillment on your journey.
And remember, Proctor's book goes into way more depth
Oh, yeah.
on each of these principles.
Yeah.
And he gives lots of real-life examples and practical exercises to help you apply them to your own life.
It's like having a personal mentor guiding you through the process.
It is. It is.
So if you're ready to dive deeper, I highly encourage you to check out the full book.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's leave you with this final thought. Success isn't about perfection. It's about progress.
It is.
It's about showing up every day, even when it's hard,
Yeah.
and taking those small steps that move you closer to your goals.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the wins,
Yes.
and never stop learning and growing.
That's the beauty of this journey.
It is.
It's always evolving just like you.
Yeah. And it really is all about those small steps that we take.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in that end goal, but Proctor emphasizes that the real magic happens in those,
Yeah.
everyday choices and actions.
Yeah, it's like building a house.
Okay.
You don't just focus on the finished product.
Right.
You got to lay a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Carefully construct each wall and meticulously, put together all the pieces.
And sometimes you have to adjust the blueprint along the way. Oh, for sure.
Right. Things don't always go according to plan.
Absolutely.
And that's where flexibility and adaptability come in.
Yeah.
Proctor reminds us that success isn't a linear path.
It's not.
It's often filled with, detours and challenges and setbacks.
Right.
But those setbacks don't have to define us.
They don't.
It's how we choose to respond
Right.
that makes all the difference.
For sure.
And I think that's a powerful takeaway from our deep dive into Proctor's, 12 power principles for success.
Yeah. It's a reminder that we actually have way more control
Right.
over our lives than we realize.
Yeah.
We can choose to be reactive or proactive.
Yeah.
We can choose to dwell in fear
Yeah.
or embrace possibility. We
Yeah.
can play small or step into our full potential.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is.
To think that, we all have this capacity to create extraordinary lives
We do.
regardless of our circumstances.
It all starts with making that decision to succeed, to commit to that worthy ideal,
Right.
and embrace the principles that are going to guide us along the way.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about
You too.
and apply to my own life.
Yeah.
So I hope it's done the same for you.
And remember, you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Just start with that one principle that really spoke to you
Right.
and focus on integrating it into your life.
Maybe it's about, setting aside time each day to visualize your goals.
Yeah.
Or practicing positive self-talk, or taking that first step towards a long-held dream.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
small changes, consistent action. That's the key.
It is.
And if you find yourself, facing obstacles along the way,
Yeah.
remember those inspiring stories that we shared.
Right.
The businessman who found success even when he was sleeping on a park bench.
Yes.
Sir Edmund Hillary's persistence in climbing Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Boswell's incredible achievements despite being blind.
Absolutely. They're all testaments to the power of the human spirit.
Yeah.
The resilience that we all have to overcome adversity and do amazing things.
So keep learning,
Yeah.
keep growing,
Keep striving.
and keep striving towards your extraordinary potential.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into success principles.
Until next time, remember, success is a journey, not a destination.
That's right.
And it's a journey we're all on together.
Did you get any of that?